So hello, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Lindsay Humphreys, and I'm the Program Director for Junior Achievement of New Mexico. Welcome to our Inspiring NM Student Conference. Thank you to the New Mexico Society of CPAs, who has partnered with Junior Achievement of New Mexico to bring you this amazing conference. This conference was designed to provide New Mexico students with the opportunity to hear personal journeys of business professionals in various careers in finance. During the remaining 5 weeks of this conference, we will be featuring 2 speakers per week, a speaker on Wednesday afternoons at 1 o'clock and Thursday mornings at 10:30. During these events, you will hear our speakers share details about their education, their job, and their career journey, as well as some very valuable skills and concepts for your own future economic success. Before we get started, just a few virtual meeting etiquette reminders. As I said, this video is going to be recorded and we will be uploading that onto our YouTube channel. So if anyone was not able to make this call today, feel free to share that link when it comes to you. At this time, if you could type your first and last name into the chat box. And if you're an educator or a parent and have students on the call with you, just let us know how many kiddos are with you today so we can track that number as well. During the speaker's presentation, please make sure your mics are muted. And if you have questions during the presentation, please write them down or type them into the chat box, and I will address them during the Q&A portion of the event. Today, we are so excited to welcome Kathy Romero, Systems QA Senior Analyst for Wells Fargo. We are honored and thrilled to have her share her story with you today. Kathy, whenever you're ready, I'll share my screen and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Lindsay. Hi, everybody. I'm Kathy Romero. I have worked for Wells Fargo for 39 years. I've been very lucky to work for that institution for this amount of time. I want to talk to you a little bit about working at a bank. I think all of you probably think that most of the positions are tellers or bankers or branch managers. So I want to give you a little bit of education on that. Those jobs are considered front room operations. So those are the people that have face-to-face contact with our customers. My career has all been in backroom operations. So we support the bankers and we support you, the customer. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the great jobs that I've had and the opportunities within banks that you're probably not aware of. So I started out at the bank when I was very young. I was a collections clerk. So what that was I collected on debt that people, well, let's say you wrote a check. Do you remember those checks that your grandma and grandpa send you for Christmas? So if you don't have enough money in your checking account, I tried to collect that debt. So that was my very first job with Wells Fargo. I then decided to take some classes. I took some secretarial classes and was lucky enough to be an administrative assistant to the executive vice president of the credit card department, which was amazing. That really taught me a lot about credit cards and how to manage money and with your credit. So that was a great job. And then I saw more opportunity. Every time I turned around, there was more opportunity within this financial institution. I then started taking even more classes. And this is probably one of my most favorite jobs that I did with the bank. I was what they called an EBT specialist. So at the time, it was electronic bank benefits transfer. So what that is, EBT is a program designed by the government. So let's say somebody needs help. They may lose their job, they may get sick and can't work. So the government will give you aid to help pay your bills and buy groceries. I was lucky enough to work in this area, so I was able to communicate with not only my fellow peers, but also with the state government. I dealt with the federal government. I dealt with many stores that actually took those EBT cards, those machines you stick your card in. So if that broke down, I'd send somebody out to repair them. It was a very meaningful job. I felt that I helped a lot of people with that. So that was, again, one of my most favorite jobs. I then went on to our insurance area. This was another great job. So like, let's say you had insurance on your home and you needed to file a claim because maybe um, something broke in your home or you got broken into or something like that. So we would file claims and help people get money to get back on their feet. That is also a very rewarding job. Then I moved on to our insurance, to our tester. That's what I'm doing now. So this has been really, really a great position for me. Right now, I'm taking some classes so I can learn how to do some computer coding. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of or are familiar with different operating systems. So right now I'm taking classes for Java. So what they want us to do is get everything automated and not do anything manually. So this has been very, very exciting for the company. So what I do is I test the system. So like let's say you do your mobile banking on your phone. And lots of customers want different products for different reasons. So they tell their bankers, "Hey, how come you guys don't have we can deposit checks online instead of going to the branch," which now during this pandemic has been great. So mobile banking, online banking, that's all wonderful. So what I do is I make sure that every code that goes in is working properly. And I actually try and break it. So I do my best to try and break the system so that when the bankers get this, they don't have any issues. Or when you get it and you as a customer start using it, you don't have any issues. So that's been great. So I'm really excited to start taking these classes and moving on in my career. So what I think I really want to stress is working in a financial institution, there are so many opportunities from human resources to people that when we do what am I trying to think? I'm a little nervous here, guys, so bear with me. So we have when the community needs help, we have people that set us up to go out and help the community, like at um, Habitat for Humanity, different things like that. I just really, really want to stress how wonderful it is to work at Wells Fargo. It's a great institution, and there's so many opportunities. And they offer a lot of in-house classes for you to take. So you guys take advantage of everything you can when offered. Classes, I know it's kind of school, but really, it'll benefit you in the long run. So I've really enjoyed it. So what I'm hoping to achieve in my next career would be a software engineer. So that would actually be coding the programs and applications that you all use as customers or our bankers. Our, for us backroom people, our customers are the bankers and you as well. So it's an honor to serve everybody in the community, and we take very great pride in what we do. So um, I think I did want to talk to you a little bit about how, you just work hard, dream big, and you can achieve anything you want. You really can. If it's in your mind and you have that go get it, you'll get there. It might take a while, but you will get there. Just work hard, dream big. That's the biggest thing. Dream big. There's so much opportunity out there. So anyway, so that's what I wanted to talk to you about my job. And I've also had several other little positions in between, but those were my most memorable positions that I enjoyed and thought you would be interested in learning about. So I do want to give you a small quote that my uncle, he was a coach for many schools up north, for Santa Fe High being one of them. And he won some state basketball tournaments. And one of his quotes was, "Hard work does not guarantee success. It only puts you in a better place to achieve it." So always remember that, guys. Hard work will pay off. Might not seem like it, but guys, hard work does pay off. So, Lindsay, I think if we want to move on to the checking account, would that be okay at this point?
Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you.
Okay, great. So I'm going to talk to you about opening your first checking account. I'm going to gear it towards a teen or youth checking account. Now, there's all different kinds of checking accounts out there. My suggestion would be to do your research. Go out there, look at different financial institutions, and look at the different kinds of checking accounts that they offer. Because you want one to be specific for your needs, especially if you're going off to college. There's a lot of things you want to think about before you open a checking account. I do want to let you know that there is a website out on the web called Hands On Banking. It's one word. It's a great resource for any kind of banking questions you may have. It also has a youth section. So you'll see it when you bring up the website and it'll say youth. And it tells you the difference between different accounts. It also has classes you can take on how to save money for a new car or whatever you might want, your new phone, your new video game. So that's a great resource as well. So in moving on, when you open your checking account, you can do this through online banking, or you can go in person into the branch. I know at this time it's a little odd to go into the branch locations because of the pandemic. However, if you can go in when you open your first checking account, I think you should, because a lot of branches, they kind of make it special for you. This is your first checking account. It's kind of like your first car, your first driver's license. So I have some friends that work in the branches, and they do try and make this a special thing for you. So if you can, go into the branch and do it. And also it will familiarize you with the branch, or even a bank if if you're not real, you don't go into banks very often. So I think that's what I would recommend. But again, it's your choice. But just do know that you have those options. When you do open your checking account, if you are a minor, you will need your parent or your guardian to be with you. They will probably need their photo ID, like a driver's license, a social security card, probably another form of ID as well. Also, they will need your social security, because they are going to want to build your banking profile, so that now you have your own profile, not under your parents, not under your guardian, it's you. So that is exciting too. So I wanted to talk to you about the reason I'm saying to do your research on your account is because a lot of these teen checking accounts or first checking accounts may have limitations. So they could have a limitation on the amount of money you can withdraw at the ATM, or the amount of money you can spend on a purchase. You always want to make sure you know that limit. You don't ever want to be caught not being able to access your money. So that's really important in your research. The other items I would research is your fees. Do you charge, if I go under a certain balance, are you going to charge me a fee? If I lose my debit card, are you going to charge me a fee? So things like that is things you want to think about. The other suggestion I would make is, when you do open your checking account, if you are going off to college, you want to make sure that you have access to a branch or to an ATM when you're away. So that I would recommend that you do that. So if you're going to school in, say, Las Cruces or state, look and see what's available out there for you. So and the other thing was with your checking account, I don't want to get too much into a savings account, but your difference between your checking and your savings. Your checking is your needs. I need groceries? I need to pay my bills. So that's really where your money's going to go. When you want to really save for a big, large item, such as that expensive phone or your first car, you want to go more geared towards more a savings account. You can earn interest on that. Some checking accounts do earn interest depending on your balance and how it's used. So those are some of the things I would recommend that you look into before you do open your checking account. It's a great way to learn how to your first managing of your money. It teaches you to start your budget process and learning how to budget. And this money's going for this money's going for my groceries, this money's going for my phone. So it's a great way to start learning how to budget your money with that first checking account as well. So the other thing I wanted to talk about in the checking account that I think is amazing are the new digital wallets. So these are, you store your debit card in your phone. So when you go to stores, you just tap your phone. That's great now during this time, contactless. So, and it actually is one of the best ways to prevent fraud. Because what they do is when we send that information, you stick you tap your phone and it sees your account number and it goes, oh, this is all back room, guys. So it sees that account number and it says, oh, that account number is 1234. Okay, when we do what we call encryption, so it totally generates a different account number so that nobody can see your account number. So it might generate that encryption is 8910. So it really, really lessens the fraud process. So this is really a great way to take care of your money. And I have some notes here, so I'm kind of looking at my notes here. So, and now that people will hopefully will be getting back out there and you guys will start your summer jobs and getting allowance. And so that's where those checking accounts are going to come in very, very handy. And let me see, I know I wrote some other exciting information down. So I think if you were to utilize all the information, the websites, you guys will do great. And I don't know, Lindsay, I think I hit all my marks, unfortunately a little bit early, but.
No, that's excellent. Thank you so much, Kathy. We can move into the Q&A time. I know we have some questions that were asked during the registration, so I can start us off on that. So the first one I'd like to ask is, during all of your different jobs that you mentioned, was there ever a time that you messed up or you failed, and how did you recover from that?
Well, yes, many times, especially with this in my position now as being a tester. There's always that chance that you could miss something, and it goes to the banker, and they actually find that error instead of you. The best you can. What I do is I hold my head up high. I know I tried my best. You fix it. You go on. I think the biggest thing is understanding and kind of waving your hand and say, yeah, I did. I take responsibility for that. To me, I think that's the most important thing that you can recover from. Take responsibility and move forward. That's Nobody's perfect. Life's not perfect. So take responsibility for your actions. And well, not so much your actions, but your actions.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Kathy. Question from the chat. Miss Casey's student, Sammy, is wondering who or what inspired you to become a banker?
Well, to tell you the truth, my mom was a banker. And I was lucky enough to see her go through many positions in her career. And so I grew up in Santa Fe and I wanted to move to the big town of Albuquerque. And and I loved the commercials. The banking commercials. I just thought, gosh, they really want to help individuals and people. So that was really my inspiration, was my mom working for a bank, and also just knowing what banking does for the community and how much we help. You know, I kind of want to go off course a little bit, Lindsay, talk about Wells Fargo has a volunteer program, and that's why I'm here. And they really support the community throughout the country. So working at this bank has given me so many opportunities to get out there and volunteer, and that's been great. So sorry, Lindsay, I know that went off a little course, but it's I thought it was important.
We love off course. Go off course. Go off script. Go have fun with it. I think that's a very important thing to share. Wells Fargo is a huge partner in our volunteer efforts. And so anything we can have on that is great. That's great to share.
Yeah, we're really lucky in the fact that they actually give us paid time off to get out there in the community and help people. So that's a real big inspiration for me, and one of the reasons I love working for a financial institution. So
excellent. Well, I do, since you mentioned your mom, I will pop over and share my screen so you can share the stories that you were going to share with them. So I'll pop over and do that quick and give you time to share about that.
So this is me. So the picture on the left is my first grade picture. So I went to school again in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I went to Salazar Elementary for the first few years of my elementary years. And then the one on the right is my senior graduation picture. I graduated from St. Michael's High School in Santa Fe as well. And then the picture below is a picture of me and my mother when Wells Fargo hosted a 25-year anniversary dinner. And this has been a few years ago, before COVID. And so this was in Dallas. And behind you see our signature stagecoach, and that's actually an ice sculpture. So it was really a fun thing for me and my mom to get to do together. So yeah. And I can't believe school goes by quickly, guys. Enjoy, have fun at school.
Absolutely. So another question from the registration. Okay. You talked about your uncle's quote. Is that the best advice you've ever received?
My uncle was very inspirational to me. He meant a lot to me, and he was always giving me good advice. I think the best advice that I received, that I think I'm trying to pass on to you guys, is to dream big and know that you can do anything you want. There's no limitations. The world is yours. So always remember that, and don't ever settle. Push yourselves and become what you want. Dream it, be it, make it happen.
Excellent. And I think you're a perfect example of that with all the different careers and taking classes and always trying to better yourself. So that's amazing. And it speaks highly that you're willing to go into software engineering and change careers. And I just think that's really cool to share.
It's a little scary, changing careers at this point, but I'm excited for it. I'm very excited. So school's important.
That's excellent. So what would be with going into the job that you currently have, what is the easiest and hardest part of that job?
Okay, well, the easiest thing is I have a fantastic team that I work with. I have a great manager who's a wonderful mentor. So, and again, one of the best things is actually Wells Fargo and their opportunities that they can give us. One of the hardest things about my job is we implement all these new code changes 4 times a year, right? So we have, excuse me, we're on time frames. So I've got maybe 4 weeks to test this in. So those time limitations, because I'm at the mercy of the developers. So when I find a defect or a problem and I report it to them, and they have to fix it. So as soon as they can get it fixed and going, I'm on it. So the hardest part of my job is the time frames that I have to work within. And you just
Excellent.
adapt to it. You just adapt and you get it done.
Excellent. Thank you. I wanted to ask, we'll also give a chance if anybody has questions. We're in that Q&A portion, so feel free to put them into the chat box. And if there's anyone who would like to unmute and ask Kathy a question directly, feel free to do that at this point. Give them a couple seconds to get brave.
No, I understand that.
Excellent. So I did want to ask you, could you talk a little bit more about what happens if you spend money that you don't have in a checking account?
Well, that's not a good thing. So the great thing is now there's preventions in place to stop you from doing that. So if you go to an ATM and you stick your card in there, it's going to tell you you don't have enough money. Now, a lot of people, they have what they call overdraft protection. So I may have a credit card that's linked to my checking account. So if I spend more money in my checking account, it'll move from my credit card. Now, the thing is, yeah, that seems all good and nice, but you get probably going to get charged fees on this. So, and now that you moved it from your credit card to your checking account, now you've got a balance on your credit card and you're going to start earning interest on that. So it's really, really important to watch that, to make sure you're spending within your budget, manage your money well, look at your checking account, see where you're at. Did I spend too much money yesterday? Oh, I don't get money till next week. I better cut myself off. So you really don't want to do that because there's a lot of fees that are associated with that. So, and I think a lot of financial institutions are trying to get away from charging fees because it's not very customer friendly, but it still happens. So the other thing is if you do that, if you overdraw your account, you could be reported to a credit bureau. So here you are very young and you've already put a black mark on your credit. So that's also not good. So another reason why it's really important to really manage that money well.
And I think it touches on the fact that you mentioned that research prior. I know when I opened my first checking account, I didn't realize that I had to track that, and I overdraft and oh my gosh, all the fees. It was a terrible mistake. And so I really hope that any students on the call right now realize that listen to what she's saying, do that research. It's very important to know what you're getting into and tracking your money. So thank you. Excellent. Thank you, Kathy. I do want to go into the fact, I think you have a very interesting job. And so like even talking about that, you have to try to break the codes. And I think that's really fascinating. So, and we haven't had anybody on our speaker clusters that had anything like that. So could you talk a little bit more about what your day-to-day looks like?
Oh yeah, sure. Oh, but I can always try to plan my day-to-day. Doesn't ever work. So basically, we have applications that the bankers use to service your account, whether it's a loan, a checking account, a mortgage, whatever it could be. Mostly I work on personal lines and loans. So we have a system that houses all this information. We call it the system of record. So this houses everybody's home equity loans, which is a loan tied to your home. So like you have a home and it's worth $50,000, you can get a line of credit for 20,000, and it's backed up. It gets kind of complicated, I think, it's backed up against your home. So before so what I do is I come in, we have certain systems that track what we do. So we write what we call scripts. So these scripts might say log into the application, run this transaction. Did it pass? Did it fail? So I come in, I bring up my account, my scripts, and I start running on my application that I'm testing. And it could be an application that maybe posts payments to your loan, or maybe just does what we call that's monetary. So anything that actually has to do with money. So a payment to your account, that's a monetary transaction. Let's say you're changing your due date. That's a non-monetary transaction. So that doesn't have anything to do with money. So what I do is I try and run these transactions on these monetary and non-monetary systems. And I just try and run transactions that would happen in the normal realm of banking. Plus, I try and run just stuff that might happen once in a moon, once in a blue moon. So I run just all kinds of different transactions. I post them if they work. I get a success completed. If they don't work, I get an error, and that's when I open my defects, send them off to the developer. He works on them, fixes them, sends them back to me. I retest it, and then I pass. And it's a whole big team. We have project managers that oversee the whole project. We have testers that I am. We have developers. We have what we call test coordinators. So they actually, if I'm not familiar with the business process, I'll go to my test coordinator and they'll get a meeting set up with, the person that uses this application, and I can learn it. So I'm constantly learning new things. And so that's the biggest part of what I do.
Excellent. Thank you, Kathy. Are there any other questions? Otherwise, we want to be respectful of everyone's time and we'll start wrapping up.
I hope I helped everybody learn some things today.
Absolutely. Everything that you said was very informative. The stuff about the banks and learning your checking account are very helpful, all things that people probably don't think about. And so I really appreciate you taking the time. And we have our kiddos on the call today are with us today. So that's really exciting.
I'm really excited for the kids.
Yeah, Miss Lucy says thank you. Her class is listening. And so I'll wrap this up and I'll get us all wrapped up here. So thank you so much, Kathy, and thank you to everyone who is on the call. Just before we log off, we do our normal announcements. So everyone who is on the call, please use the survey link that I will send you after this session, and you'll be entered into a chance to win a gift card. And we pick gift cards winners after each session. So keep filling out those surveys every week, and so then you can be entered in multiple times. And if you're on the call and you have students behind you, teachers, just make sure you send that link to those kiddos. Lastly, please join us tomorrow as we welcome Ruben Reyes from the New Mexico Education Assistance Foundation. And Ruben will be discussing how to pay for college. So keep an eye out for and follow up. We'll send out that follow-up email. And if you haven't registered for Ruben's, that register link will come through in that follow-up email. But then also, if you have registered, just keep in mind that you will get that in the early parts of the morning tomorrow. So thank you to everyone who's on the call, and thank you so much, Kathy, for being so honest and so informative. And thank you to the students and the teachers who are on the call today. And I hope to see you all tomorrow or next week.
Thanks, Lindsay.
Thank you, Kathy.